I wish I was coming to you with a reading vlog or a read along of this book, but it was so good. I read it very, very, very quickly and didn't get to say anything about it. But this is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and I want to rave about it. So I'm so happy to have finally read this book. It was on my shelf. I did that experience where you had gotten something on hardcover right away because you were so excited about it. Then you didn't read it for long enough that you saw it in the bookstore now on paperback and your heart died a little bit. That was my that was my experience with Tress of the Emerald Sea. So I was so happy when I played my TBR game and I got this one on the TBR. Now I have read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Really enjoyed it. At this point, it's been so many years that I need to reread it. But I did know that this is a different type of fantasy for him. This is inspired by The Princess Bride, and in the intro he says he wrote it actually for his wife, and then she encouraged him to publish. Thank you, Brandon Sanderson's wife, because this story actually had me squealing and giggling out loud. That doesn't happen very often. This was with the audiobook, and it is truly like The Princess Bride because this book is narrated by a male character who may or may not show up in the story, and it is so funny. It's so funny. It's so precious. I was squealing. This book takes place at the beginning in a place called the Emerald Sea. Tress lives there with her family, and it is not an easy place to live. The sea is not water. The ocean is made from spores, and there are moons that the spores come from. Sounds strange, but he explains it very well. The spores have different things that they can do, different properties, and as far as I am aware, Brandon Sanderson does include scientific type magic in different books of his. I believe there's some with metal. There were the ones with colors in Warbreaker. And I think that's so smart and clever and fascinating. The spores are a big part of this story and what capabilities they do and don't have, and the different kinds of spores. The thing that I love about Tress is that she does not have a sense of adventure. She genuinely is happy living on her island with her family. She collects cups, she drinks her warm tea, and she's happy. She has her friend Charlie, and she is described very wonderfully. Chapter 1 ends with Tress thinking, "There's a beauty to this, actually. I like it here, and I believe I shall be fine to remain here all my life." Then chapter 2, the narrator says, "Perhaps you're surprised to hear those last words. Tress wanted to stay on the rock? She liked it here? Where was her sense of adventure, her yearning for new lands, her wanderlust? Well, this isn't the part of the story where you ask questions, so kindly keep them to yourself. That said, you must understand that this is a tale about people who are both what they seem and not what they seem, simultaneously. A story of contradictions. In other words, it is a story about human beings." That's the kind of narration, the humor, the interaction with the reader that makes this story so fun. So very much like The Princess Bride, it is kind of the opposite. And he said he was inspired by watching it by saying, well, Princess Buttercup had very little agency or little things to do in the story. What if she was the one who got to do all of the adventuring? There we have this book. So there's some wonderful, cute interactions between her and Charlie, and she starts to realize, oh, I think I love him. I love him. And then he gets whisked away into dangerous circumstances. The part that I love so much is that when Tress decides to go after Charlie and get him, it's because she's come to the logical conclusion that there's just nothing else to be done. She has to. Nobody else is going to do it. She wants to, so it has to be done. It's so cute because she even brings in her parents to ask about it and talk about it. And the parents are like, well, She hates inconveniencing people. She's a very thoughtful person. So if she thinks it has to be done, clearly she's thought that this is the only way to do it. So we have to trust her. I absolutely love that. And so Tress gets on to a pirate ship. And this becomes a pirate story. Oh, yes, I love pirates so much. I have such fond memories of when I lived in Florida. I went to where they have a pirate museum, and the staff was kind of laughing at me because I was there all day taking notes, taking pictures. I don't condone piracy, but it's just so interesting that it was a thing. Like it's just the vibe. I grew up obsessed with the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. We know. I don't condone it. It's just a vibe. So, pirate books, yes. Give me all the pirate books. And I actually had just read A Pirate's Life for Tea, the sequel to Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. That's another great pirate book. I really like it when there's humor and the characters have such unique personalities. And boy, does this book have those in abundance. The characters on this ship are so interesting and fun to be around. Not saying that they're good people, but the descriptions that the funny narrator gives each of them, they feel so real and tangible. All of the dangers and scenarios that come up don't seem forced. They seem like something you'd find in a fun fantasy adventure story. I don't want to give any spoilers away of what they encounter because it's such a fun ride to go on, but just know that you are getting a lot of quintessential fantasy characters and creatures in this book. You're also getting diverse characters, you're getting creatures, you're getting so much packed into one great, funny adventure story. I think the audiobook was fantastic. It really was the atmosphere of the person writing this reading it to you, if you like that. But the book was fantastic as well. I tabbed so much in this because he'll just have these moments where he'll share a great thought. Like, for example, here's a quote that says, "Memories have a way of changing on us, souring or sweetening over time, like a brew we drink, then recreate later by taste, only getting the ingredients mostly right. You can't taste a memory without tainting it with who you have become. That inspires me. We each make our own lore, our own legends every day. Our memories are our ballads, and if we tweak them a little with every performance, well, that's all in the name of good drama. The past is boring anyway. We always pretend the ideals and culture of the past have aged like wine, but in truth, the ideas of the past tend to age more like biscuits. They simply get stale." So if you're looking for a tale of piracy, a tale of adventure, a found family, making friends in very unlikely places with unlikely people, this has such great heart. It's just a wonderfully fun time. However you can get your hands on it, audiobook, physical book, ebook, this is going to be a joy. I can't imagine someone wouldn't like this unless you don't like humor. Maybe the humor doesn't land with you, but it's so funny and lighthearted. The characters are so unique and different. I want to tell you about them, but it's so much more fun for you to just get introduced to them because they're introduced in great ways. So I'm just going to let you get introduced to everyone and give this a 5 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads because it is 5 out of 5 stars. And then I'm going to include this in this vlog because I just know, I have faith, I know that The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman is also going to be a 5-star. It just is. It can't not be. The affection and adoration I have for these characters at Cooper's Chase, not even just at the retirement home, but just in this book, all the side characters, all of them, it's like the most comforting feeling ever reading these books. Again, humor. I just love lighthearted, sweet, whimsical humor. And this is very British too, very, very much English humor. And it's just so good. So I'm going to start this. I had already gotten like 77 pages in, I think this was last year that I started it. And there is an element to the story I can't share because this is the 4th book in, but there's an element that is very heart-wrenching. And so I was crying too much and I needed to put it down. I was like, I can't do this right now, but now's the time. This was from my TBR game of the book with the highest rating on my TBR, which makes sense because this is the 4th book in the series. So if you're reading this far into the series, you love the characters as well. So it makes sense why you'd give it a higher rating. Again, I have faith that this is also going to be a 5-star book for me. This one, oh, I can't tell you about this because it's just another murder mystery. Basically, the concept, if you don't know about the Thursday Murder Club, there is a retirement home in England called Cooper's Chase, and there is a retired spy. Her name's Elizabeth. There's a retired nurse named Joyce, semi-retired therapist named Ibrahim, and a retired union worker guy named Ron, and they form what they call the Thursday Murder Club. Because on Thursdays in the room community center at their living home, they can check out that time to all come there. And why it's called the Thursday Murder Club is because one of the other residents was a cop, and she has some cold case files, and they start looking into them, and they are very effective at their job. I cannot adequately put into words how much I love the characters in the Thursday Murder Club. In the Thursday Murder Club books, the book is interspersed with one of the characters' journals, diaries. Her name's Joyce. Joyce's first diary entry in The Last Devil to Die, and I'm just grinning ear to ear. The feeling going through my chest. I just love the idea of being old and settled in life and having all of your memories and all of your traditions, and just, she's talking about Christmas right now and talking about how she's had this ornament that her daughter made for her for over 40 years out of just a toilet paper thing. It was a little angel, and just the Baileys and the minced pies and what they were doing. It's just there's Jaffa cakes as well. My heart is just so full. I just need to take a second to gush. I've got this going on down here. And the rule is that you cannot get up when your cat is on you. So I'm just gonna have to deal with this crazy messy hair and iPhone footage, because a lot of my talking clips are gonna need to be on my phone because I can't really get out my camera and set it all up, especially when this cat, her name is Topaz, she is always forcing her way onto your lap. And that's just not gonna work. But I wanted to read a line from Joyce from her diary. They're celebrating New Year's. She's talking about raising a glass to lost friends. And she says, "We won't all be here this time next year. That's just the facts of the matter. Those at the back of the line will fall, and no one will tell you where you are in the line. Though at my age, I have a rough idea. As Ibrahim always says, the numbers don't look good. There are plenty of things to look forward to, though, and that's the key. What's the point of another year if you don't fill it?" And then she talks about things that she's looking forward to. And I really enjoy reading from a different age perspective. I really like how Richard Osman writes about characters of this age. He doesn't shy away or try to sugarcoat the hard parts of life as you get older, and it will probably make you tear up a little bit, quite a lot. It also has a lightheartedness and a joyfulness to these characters. that make it so that it's manageable. I normally would not look forward to reading books that deal with a lot of heavy things in life, and yet these I look forward to more than pretty much any other series I've ever read. I look forward to the Thursday Murder Club books and think about them as the ultimate wonderful, cozy stories. And that's a testament to Richard Osman's ability to handle such heavy topics with such care and delicacy. I talk about too how he earns your tears and he earns that tugging on your heartstrings. And I mean that as in, it's not manipulative. It really bothers me when you can tell, and it doesn't affect me as much, when you can tell an author is just trying to make you cry and is pulling out all the stops of these really heavy topics just to get a big reaction out of you. And I don't personally feel that he does that. I feel like all of these moments are earned, as in he puts in the time and effort. He's not trying to give you any shock factor. He slowly and carefully guides you hand in hand towards these moments. You expect them. He's not trying to hurt you with them. He's holding your hand through them, just as the Thursday Murder Club characters are holding each other's hands through them. And I always leave these books with my heart so full, which I feel like is the opposite of if it was just trying to focus on all of the bad things and the tear-jerking moments. No. He truly has created such an incredible group of people that I just can't believe that they're all fiction. God, this is the literal worst lighting and everything, but it's either this or it doesn't happen. And because I keep waiting for all the perfect stuff, I end up not filming things. And the whole point of this is to talk about my reactions to books. So we're just gonna have to accept mediocrity here. I'm gonna have to accept mediocrity because progress is better than perfection, I keep telling myself. And I really just wanted to say this line from the book because it perfectly sums up these characters. So there are two people in the police force that has ended up having to work with the Thursday Murder Club in the past, and they keep trying to keep them out of the investigations, and that doesn't happen very much because one of the characters, Elizabeth, she used to be like a special agent, so she is so smart and so on top of figuring this stuff out and so confident and self-assured. And it's hilarious because now there's a new murder and one of the characters says you could just leave it to them, because she says, I'm gonna go pick up Joyce, pay a visit to the shop. I don't see that I have any alternative. He's like, you could just leave it to the police. Honestly, says Elizabeth, pulling on her coat, what a perfect waste of everyone's time. Another testament to Richard Osman's brilliance as an author is that the chapters are so short. Oh, I love short chapters. You fly through the book. And to make it even more impressive, so much of the writing is verbal interactions. It's people's banter. It's people's conversations. And you would think that that would be boring because I do tend to like in-depth emotional looks at what people are thinking and feeling and going through. I love that. This doesn't really do that. Hardly at all. It'll share thoughts and things like that sometimes, but for the most part, he is able to capture these characters so perfectly from just how they talk. Which, is he a wizard? That's my question at this point. Another very accurate description of the group. They're talking about going to stake out this business that they have suspicions maybe behind the murder. And it says, she's writing in her diary, like a stakeout. Elizabeth will be the brains, Ibrahim will be the driver, and I'll be in charge of snacks. Ron complained that he wouldn't have anything to do, but Elizabeth says he's there to add color, and that seemed to placate him. That's exactly them. Just be aware that you'll also have moments like this where you are crying. But that's life, and it's about life. So it's worth it. and sometimes you need a good cry. And so sometimes you might find it in books. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I don't know why this makes me so happy, but they're going up to London, a couple of the characters, and it says that she and Stephen would be up and down here all the time. Exhibitions, plays, lunch at the club. They once saw Professor Brian Cox give a lecture at the Albert Hall, The Majesty of the Cosmos. We all come from the stars and we all return to the stars. She had enjoyed the lecture, but there were lasers she could have lived without. I just saw Professor Brian Cox the other week. Oh my gosh. This makes me so happy. He is my favorite science speaker in general, but especially for cosmology and physics. It was phenomenal. Right now, he is touring for his lecture called Horizons. It was the best lecture I've ever seen. It was the most engaging experience. He is so talented at explaining, I'm sure, so much more complex concepts than he's sharing with us, but makes it so digestible for even non-science inclined minds like myself. And it's so cool that Elizabeth's talking about seeing Professor Brian Cox, and I just saw him. Never intended on showing this, but I guess I'll show this. One of my tattoos is actually based off of a Professor Brian Cox quote exactly about what this is saying. It says, "We are the cosmos dreaming of itself. It has the stars and stardust weaving through it." It's just kind of like on the side of my arm, and it's pretty out of the way, but it is in Jane Austen's handwriting. I love her handwriting, and when I wanted a font, I was like, oh yeah, gotta get Jane Austen's handwriting as the font. And it's actually a direct quote from Midnight Mass, the Mike Flanagan series, but it is loosely based off of Professor Brian Cox quoting about how we are the cosmos made conscious, and Carl Sagan also talks about that. It is one of the most incredible and mind-boggling facts, and is one of the things that keeps me so grounded and in awe about experiencing this life that you somehow got to be able to do. I am not a spiritual, religious, any kind of that person. I am a science-based person, and I just think that is one of the most coolest, phenomenal, awe-inspiring things. So this is random, but yeah. As you can see from the title, this was 5 stars. This was absolutely 5 stars. Very emotional, but not in too heavy of a way. It's very much life. And this book is about loss. Not only loss of heroine as the crime begins, but also loss of loved ones and loss of memory. This book discusses and celebrates a lot of life and a lot of the challenges and wonders and pain and love that comes in life. And this one is just, I love it. As you saw, I talked about it with that horrible iPhone footage, but this is another 5 star. I can't recommend this series enough to anybody who likes cozy murder mysteries, British humor, the idea of really hard, serious criminals getting interrogated by these sweet, seemingly sweet, elderly group of people, and they're very confused, but it is always hilarious and fun and such a well-written time. The other 5 star from the books that I have read since I restarted my booktube channel this year has been Welcome to the Hyunam-dong Bookshop. This book I raved about in a recent video, but I will say that I want to just give it a moment of a full-on review for my channel because of how special this book is to me. I know that I'm not the only one who's experienced finding a book when you need it, and it somehow magically exactly fits what you are going through, and it is a soothing balm for your soul. It is such a comfort. And that was Welcome to the Hyunam-dong Bookshop. This is a Korean book about a woman in Seoul who decides to kind of upend her life and create a bookshop. She wants to start a bookshop. That is her dream, and she's going to see it through, even if it only lasts a year, however long she can make it work. She is going to put her all into it. That sounds very motivating, and it sounds very work hard, except it's really not, though. That is kind of the opposite message. This book really focuses on the opposite of the work culture. It talks about how you can restart your life at any time, and that is such an important and comforting message. I feel like that isn't talked about enough. It seems like we have to decide when we are teenagers in high school what we are doing, and we are locked in for the rest of our lives, and that is absolutely absurd. We're here for one lifetime, and we should choose to live it how we want, and that's obviously going to change as you age, which is something that these characters really experience, be it with their careers, be it with their interests and hobbies, their mental health, their marriages. Things can change, and this book is a very quiet, calm, contemplative look at reevaluating what you truly want out of life. This is especially important when it is not what is told by society to you that is a common thing to want. Peace, quiet, calm, comfort, not ambition in a corporate ladder kind of way. The young woman, Youngju, loves to read. She loves to write little notes in the books in her shop about her reviews and thoughts on it. She posts comforting and cozy and thoughtful posts on her Instagram during the times of day where people may be wanting to take a break and get a breath of fresh air. I would read this book every day over a cup of coffee. And having this over coffee is especially wonderful because there is an emphasis on coffee from the young man she hires to work at the cafe in the bookshop named Minjun. He becomes the barista, and then he really goes deep into coffee beans and coffee production, and he gets to know the supplier of the coffee beans, and then they talk about it, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful look at following your interests, whether or not that is what people think of as a successful interest. But he struggles with that because of the culture of needing to excel and needing to work so hard. And can a barista be a lifetime job? And then it even asks, does that matter if it's a lifetime job? If it works for you now, if it's what you need and love now, that's what matters. There's a young woman who took some time off from the corporate life to spend her days in the bookshop and knitting. And she knits, and that's so lovely. This book is especially comforting if you have gone through a hard time or even just emotional turmoil, because Youngju is as well. A lot of the characters are as well. It's not dramatic and painful and intense. It is a very calm and soothing book, but you'll relate to a lot of the things that they're talking about. And it feels very, very good to be seen and to not feel so alone. I feel very disconnected sometimes with people as a whole, and this book actually made me feel a lot more connected to humanity and all of our common and similar struggles. I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but I'm a big fan of dog-earing, highlighting, annotating my books. I have a book stamp for myself that I got specifically made. I just love engaging with the book. It becomes more a part of you, and such a good experience. And dog ears make it so easy to flip through and find the pages you're looking for. And this book is not one of. This is my most dog-eared book that I own. Welcome to the Hyunam-dong Bookshop. This is how special this book is, that there were so many pages that I wanted instant access back to. I think that's a very, very, very high praise because I have a lot of books. So this book really, really is something special. A couple of the great quotes that I want to share is, he needed courage, the courage not to waver in the face of disappointment from others, the courage to stick to his beliefs and choices. Don't we all? Definitely. And then Youngju writes, as I close the book, I think to myself, I should stop labeling myself an inadequate person. I still have opportunities, don't I? Opportunities to act kindly, to speak with compassion. Even a disappointing human like myself can still be occasionally a good person. The idea gives me strength, and for the days ahead, hope. And I don't want to mistake these quotes as being like that this is a really serious book, that this is going to have a lot of big moments and big deep thoughts, because while yes it does, this isn't an intimidating book. This is sinking into a warm, comforting bath of a book. So it's so normal. It's such a normal book. As I said, it makes me feel like I relate to people, which is not very common. So it's such a normal, wonderful, cozy book. I could keep going on, but I fear I will never stop. But I definitely think that this is such a wonderful reminder to follow your passions and interests. Follow your dreams. If you have dreams, you don't have to have dreams either. What do you love? What are you interested in? What captures your attention? And what is going to make you satisfied and content right now? Go for that. Doesn't matter. Have the courage to ignore what society says you should and shouldn't do, and do what you want to do, because you are the only one that you have to answer to at the end of the day, at the end of your life. And more than that, instead of a dramatic way, how can you appreciate the day-to-day? How can you appreciate the mundanity of life, the mundane things that we do, like making coffee, like knitting, like reading books, like posting on Instagram, all of these things, like taking a community course, listening to a writer talk. She brings some writers in, connecting with the community. What are some day-to-day things where we can find joy and beauty and comfort in them? That is what I absolutely love and believe in and want more of and make sure to do in my life. And this cover, this book, look at it, love it. Please give it a shot if any of that sounds like you would enjoy it. It is definitely the potential to be my favorite book of the year, if not one of my favorite books of all time. There's the bookshop up close. These were my 5-star reads. Look at them. Oh, I can't believe I had 3 5 stars. I am very happy with this. I am already re-listening to Tress of the Emerald Sea on audiobook with my husband because it's so funny and entertaining, and you just fly through the chapters. Every chapter ends on a big moment that you want to see what happens next. Those were the books that were smash hits for me. I would love to hear if you have any other 5 stars that you read this year, or if you've read these, or if you're interested in these. I love to talk about books. That's why I created my channel, so please let's talk. And I hope that until next time, your life is filled with good people and good books. Take care.